From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order Watch.
2013. That was the 5th year of President Barack Obama's time in office. His second term just getting underway. And let me tell you, that year demanded clarity, resolve, and a steady hand. And that's exactly what President Obama brought to the table. The tone of governance in 2013 was firm but adaptive. Barack wasn't just reacting, he was shaping. He pushed forward with what he believed was right, even in the face of intense opposition. It was a year of fights. Fights for health care, fights over the budget, and fights over values. But it was also a year of deep resilience. Let's take a step back and look at the big picture. Global events of 2013. Across the world, 2013 was anything but quiet. Syria's civil war reached brutal new levels with reports of chemical weapons use, which forced the Obama administration into a complicated debate about intervention. Rather than rushing into war, Obama turned toward diplomacy, brokering a deal with Russia to dismantle Syria's chemical weapons. It was controversial, but it avoided another American boots-on-the-ground scenario. That decision, whether praised or criticized, showed his preference for multilateralism and long-game strategy. North Korea was also turning up the volume, conducting a third nuclear test. The international community braced itself. Obama kept cool, kept America's alliances strong, and maintained pressure through sanctions and coordination. And then there was the death of Nelson Mandela. Obama flew to South Africa to pay his respects, not just as president, but as a man deeply inspired by Mandela's story. That moment, that speech, it reminded us of Barack's own roots in community organizing, in justice, in the long arc of history. Major American events in 2013. Back home, America was going through its own storms. The government shutdown, October 2013. A 16-day federal shutdown triggered by a Republican-led standoff over funding the Affordable Care Act. Millions were furloughed. Services halted, and yet Obama didn't blink. He held his ground, refusing to gut his signature health law. It was a defining moment of leadership, prioritizing long-term gains over short-term compromise. Speaking of healthcare, the rollout of the healthcare.gov website, rough start. There's no sugarcoating it. The launch was plagued with technical failures that embarrassed the administration. But Obama didn't dodge it. He owned it, ordered a tech surge, and step by step, they got it working. Millions would ultimately enroll in coverage by the end of the year. We also saw the revelations by Edward Snowden, a former NSA contractor who leaked classified documents exposing the extent of government surveillance. It shook the public's trust, and it pushed the administration to re-examine privacy protections and transparency, walking that difficult line between national security and civil liberty. There were tragedies too. The Boston Marathon bombing in April shocked the nation, but the response from law enforcement, first responders, and the citizens of Boston showed the best of us. Obama spoke at the memorial service with compassion and defiance, reminding us Boston is strong. Obama's governance in 2013. In 2013, Obama governed with grit. He was bolder, unafraid to use the bully pulpit and executive power where necessary. He knew Congress was going to block most of his proposals, so he started leaning more on his pen and his phone, setting the stage for more executive actions to come. He expanded protections for dreamers. He doubled down on climate change, laying out a new climate action plan. And through it all, he maintained that presidential balance. Hopeful, principled, and focused on the long term, and now the executive orders. Now, as for those executive orders, we're about to dive in, because some of the most impactful decisions of 2013 didn't just come from press conferences or debates, they came from the president's signature on paper. So let's get ready, because up next, we're going to break down the top 10 executive orders of 2013, and trust me, you're going to want to see how they still shape our present. Executive Order 13,636, improving critical infrastructure cybersecurity on February 12th, 2013. Executive Order 13,637, administration of reformed export controls on March 8th, 2013. Executive Order 13,638, amendments to Executive Order 12,777 on March 15th, 2013. Executive Order 13,639, establishment of the Presidential Commission on Election Administration on March 28, 2013. Executive Order 13,640, continuance of Advisory Council on April 5th, 2013. Executive Order 13,641, adjustments of certain rates of pay on April 5th, 2013. Executive Order 13,642, making open and machine readable the new default for government information on May 9, 2013. Executive Order 13,643, 2013, amendments to the Manual for Courts Martial, United States on May 15th, 2013. Executive Order 13,644, amendment to Executive Order 13,639 on May 21st, 2013. Executive Order 13,645, authorizing the implementation of certain sanctions set forth in the Iran Freedom and Counter-Proliferation Act of 2012 and additional sanctions with respect to Iran on June 3rd, 2013. Executive Order 13,646, establishing the President's Advisory Council Financial Capability for Young Americans on June 25th, 2013. Executive Order 13,647, establishing the White House Council on Native American Affairs on June 26th, 2013. Executive Order 13,648, combating wildlife trafficking on July 1, 2013. Executive Order 13,649, accelerating improvements in HIV prevention and care in the United States through the HIV Care Continuum Initiative on July 15, 2013. Executive Order 13,650, improving chemical facility safety and security on August 1st, 2013. Executive Order 13,651, prohibiting certain imports of Burmese jadeite and rubies on August 6th, 2013. Executive Order 13,652, continuance of certain federal advisory committees on September 30, 2013. Executive Order 13,653, preparing the United States for the impacts of climate change on November 1st, 2013. Executive Order 13,654, establishing an emergency board to investigate disputes between the Long Island Railroad Company and certain of its employees, represented by certain labor organizations on November 21st, 2013. Executive Order 13,655, adjustments of certain rates of pay on December 23rd, 2013.
Pauline's Pizza, where we deliver happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Hi, I'm Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at Da Bomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search Da Bomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your brand.
13.
My fellow Americans, let's take a moment to go back to the year 2013, a year of testing, of transformation, and of leadership under pressure. President Barack Obama, in his 5th year in office, wasn't just governing through policy battles or partisan gridlock. He was writing executive history, one order at a time. And I want you to understand just how critical those executive orders were that year, not just for managing the day-to-day business of the federal government, but for reshaping how we prepared for the future, how we responded to crisis, how we protected our people. Let's talk climate. In 2013, the climate crisis wasn't just a looming shadow. It was knocking on our front door. With wildfires raging, floods rising, and droughts threatening crops from Iowa to California, Obama didn't wait for Congress. He signed Executive Order 13653, preparing the United States for the impacts of climate change. This was a call to action, a blueprint that told every federal agency, you better get ready, you better adapt, because the climate doesn't care about your budget cycle. That order helped lay the groundwork for infrastructure resilience planning, smarter disaster responses, and long-term climate policy that, even years later, we still build on today. It wasn't about politics. It was about protecting communities. Now let's shift to cybersecurity. 2013 also marked a critical turning point in how we think about our digital infrastructure. With threats rising from state and non-state actors, Obama issued Executive Order 13,636, improving critical infrastructure cybersecurity. For the first time, it pushed for a national framework, created tighter public-private partnerships, and established voluntary standards that helped secure our grids, our hospitals, our pipelines. That order, well ahead of its time, is part of the reason we have stronger systems today, even as cyber threats continue to evolve. Then there's chemical safety. After the devastating explosion at a fertilizer plant in West Texas, the president responded with Executive Order 13650, improving chemical facility safety and security. This wasn't just reaction, it was reform. The order forced agencies to reevaluate outdated protocols, strengthen inspections, and modernize how communities are notified of chemical risks. It helped save lives. Full stop. And let's not forget democracy itself. With long voting lines and confusion still fresh from the 2012 elections, Obama established the Presidential Commission on Election Administration via Executive Order 13,639. That commission laid out practical bipartisan solutions to modernize voting systems, ideas like online registration and updated voting machines. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, but it made our democracy stronger, quieter, more efficient. 2013 also saw action on government transparency through Executive Order 13642, which pushed agencies to make data machine-readable and openly accessible. It might sound like tech jargon, but that order transformed how Americans interact with public data. Health, transportation, education, whole industries gained new insights from what the government finally made visible. Barack Obama governed with foresight in 2013. When Congress wouldn't move, he acted, not for attention, not for legacy, but because the job demanded it. Now, not every order was perfect, and some faced legal and political resistance. But the mark of 2013's executive action is clear. It shaped the future, one signature at a time. We'll get into the specifics next. We're going to walk through the top 10 executive orders of 2013, one by one. We'll break down what they were, what they did, and how they're still shaping your life, whether you see it or not. Stay tuned. Now, folks, let's not just look at 2013 as a year frozen in the past. The decisions made that year, especially through President Obama's executive orders, are still echoing across our country and the world today. You want to know how executive action matters? Let me show you how the executive orders of 2013 still affect the present EO 13653, climate readiness. The climate resilience order didn't just sit in a filing cabinet. It became the foundation for how cities and states now prepare for rising sea levels, extreme weather, and crumbling infrastructure. It taught agencies to integrate climate data into their planning. Even after it was revoked in 2017, many local governments kept using it as their playbook. And when we came back into office, we picked up right where Barack left off, because the bones were already there. EO 13,636, cybersecurity. Back then, cyber attacks were ramping up. Today, they're an everyday reality. The 2013 framework helped launch the public-private coordination we now rely on. That order gave rise to the cybersecurity framework used across industries. Without it, our hospitals, banks, and utilities would be far more vulnerable in today's digital war zone. EO 13642 Open Data. That push to make federal data machine readable. It didn't just help journalists or researchers, it opened the door for tech startups, apps, and innovations that power GPS systems, health tracking tools, and even disaster response dashboards. Open data became fuel for modern business and policy. EO 13650, Chemical Safety. This one, sparked by tragedy, forced our government to take a hard look at outdated safety systems. And while implementation took time, it's why local emergency response systems today are faster, better coordinated, and more transparent with the public. EO 13639, Election Administration. Even now, the ideas seeded by that executive order, shorter wait times, cleaner voter rolls, expanded registration access, still shape state-level reforms. It was a quiet order, but it spoke loudly in a democracy that's still learning how to count every voice. Major global events in 2013. Let's widen the lens. The Syrian civil war reached a terrifying threshold with chemical weapons used in Ghouta. The Obama administration, through diplomacy with Russia, helped negotiate the removal of Syria's declared chemical weapons. No small feat in the middle of civil war. That kind of engagement, it prevented immediate escalation and reasserted America's global leadership through calm power. Iran's new president Hassan Rouhani signaled a potential thaw in relations. And through sustained diplomacy, built upon orders like Executive Order 13645 on sanctions, we set the stage for the future Iran nuclear deal in 2015. Nelson Mandela passed away in December. Obama's presence and words at that memorial weren't just ceremonial, they were historic. He stood there not just as a U.S. president, but as a symbol of the very global ideals Mandela fought for: reconciliation, dignity, and justice. Major U.S. events that shaped our people. The Boston Marathon bombing in April was a moment of pain and resilience. Obama's leadership, measured, compassionate, and direct, helped a nation grieve, recover, and push forward. The government shutdown in October, a result of budget brinkmanship, tested our institutions. But Obama didn't bend on core values, especially defending the Affordable Care Act. That order of resolve, it preserved healthcare access for millions. Healthcare.gov's flawed launch was a stumbling point, but not a fall. That crisis showed how executive leadership can adapt. With technical teams deployed and pressure turned into action, the rollout stabilized and saved lives. Closing words, leading into the top 10. So you see, 2013 wasn't just another year. It was a turning point, a time when executive orders became more than bureaucratic tools. They became shields, levers, and compasses. They reached into every corner of our lives, protecting our homes, securing our networks, preparing our future. And now, it's time to go deeper. Up next, the top 10 executive orders of 2013, one by one. What they did, what they meant, and how they still shape the country you live in today. Number 1, EO 13653, Preparing the United States for the Impacts of Climate Change, signed November 1st, 2013. This order was a milestone. Barack Obama looked ahead, not just to the next 4 years, but the next 4 decades. This EO required federal agencies to begin integrating climate resilience into every facet of planning: transportation, water systems, energy grids, even national defense. It created a Council on Climate Preparedness and Resilience and directed agencies to support local communities in adapting. Lasting impact. This became the backbone of future climate adaptation efforts. It spurred research, new planning standards, and helped cities like Miami and New York begin long-term sea level rise mitigation. Even after it was revoked in 2017, its framework lived on in local and state planning. Number 2, EO 13636, Improving Critical Infrastructure Cybersecurity, signed February 12, 2013. Long before cyber became a household word, Obama took proactive steps. This EO launched the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, Cybersecurity Framework, a voluntary guide to securing energy grids, banks, water plants, and hospitals. It emphasized public-private collaboration and real-time information sharing. Lasting impact. That framework is still in use today, forming the core of how sectors handle cyber resilience. It's the reason your power grid, water supply, or health records aren't vulnerable to the first hacker who knocks. Number 3, E013642, making open and machine readable, the new default for government information, signed May 9, 2013. This EO may sound technical, but it transformed government transparency. It declared that data created by the federal government must be open by default and machine readable, meaning developers, researchers, and journalists could use it freely. Lasting impact. This EO drove the explosion of civic tech apps, real-time dashboards for weather, transportation, and public health, and made open data the new standard. It gave rise to data.gov as a central hub for federal data sets. Number 4, EO13650, improving chemical facility safety and security, signed August 1, 2013. Triggered by the deadly explosion in West Texas, this EO sought to overhaul how the government tracks, regulates, and responds to hazardous chemical facilities. It called for better coordination between OSHA, DHS, and the EPA, and improved community right-to-know procedures. Lasting impact. This action led to updated safety standards, new inspection guidelines, and better emergency coordination, especially in rural or industrial areas where chemical plants operate. Number 5, EO13645, authorizing the implementation of certain sanctions set forth in the Iran Freedom and Counter-Proliferation Act, signed June 3, 2013. This EO enforced tough economic sanctions on Iran's energy, shipping, and financial sectors as part of broader efforts to prevent nuclear proliferation. Lasting impact, it tightened the financial noose around Iran and added pressure that would lead to the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, or Iran nuclear deal. It was diplomacy with teeth, and it worked. Number 6, EO13639, establishment of the Presidential Commission on Election Administration, signed March 28, 2013. Following long lines and technical problems in the 2012 election, Obama established this bipartisan commission to improve the voting experience. Lasting impact, the commission's recommendations, like online voter registration, better voting tech, and reducing wait times, are still influencing state reforms. It laid the blueprint for modernizing American elections in a nonpartisan, functional way. Number 7, EO13651, prohibiting certain imports of Burmese jadeite and rubies, signed August 6, 2013. A targeted sanctions order that banned the importation of jade and rubies from Myanmar due to ongoing human rights abuses and military control over gemstone trade. Lasting impact. This EO signaled strong human rights enforcement through trade. It stood as a symbolic and economic message to authoritarian regimes abusing their people for profit. Number 8, EO13649, accelerating improvements in HIV prevention and care in the United States, signed July 15, 2013. This EO reinforced and expanded the National HIV/AIDS Strategy by launching the HIV Care Continuum Initiative, targeting better testing, linkage to care, and retention. Lasting impact. This helped standardize HIV care efforts across agencies and focused federal attention on measurable goals, many of which reduced transmission rates and improved access to care for marginalized groups. Number 9, EO13652, continuance of certain federal advisory committees, signed September 30, 2013. This EO continued the existence of dozens of critical advisory bodies across healthcare, homeland security, technology, and more. Lasting impact. While less flashy than the others, this EO kept essential civilian expert input in federal decision-making. It maintained the link between policy and science, between government and the people it serves. Number 10, EO13655, adjustments of certain rates of pay, signed December 23, 2013. Routine but vital, this EO adjusted pay scales for federal civilian employees, maintaining alignment with inflation and federal compensation standards. Lasting impact. These pay adjustments ensured continued competitive federal employment, impacting morale, recruitment, and retention across the federal workforce. So there you have it, the top 10 executive orders of 2013, each one a signature of leadership, each one a thread in the fabric of American progress. When Congress stood still, Barack Obama moved forward, not with chaos, but with calculated precision. These orders weren't about power, they were about service. And their legacy? It's right here in the world we live in today.
Some write history with blood, some with laws. But the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool, it's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it, we live it. They order it, we obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering. From the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Porter can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.